And here we go. It's the Pro Wrestling Roll-Up. Everybody, welcome to the show. Bit of a different one today.
Yeah, very different. It's going to be a quick one.
It's good. Yeah, well, maybe a quicker one. So we're not going to go through all of the news bits in this episode. This is the promised New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 16 review. So we're not going to mess about. We're pretty much going to dive right into this. So you've seen some highlights of it.
Yes, but that was when it happened. And
yeah.
My memory is a bit short at the minute.
So I've recently just finished night 2 and we're just going to recap the first 2 days of this really. So before we get into it, for those that are new, again, this is the Pro Wrestling Roll-Up, a 3-men, 1-fall wrestling podcast. And around the mic tonight,
it's me, Ash.
And I'm Russ. Welcome again, everybody. So for those who are massive fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling, then obviously this is the big night for the year, as it is every year, as Wrestle Kingdom is the WrestleMania, I suppose, of New Japan, if you want to sort of put it that way.
Yeah. What's the other... For other companies, like, would it be Starrcade or...
WCW Starrcade or...
Was it Bound for Glory or Slammiversary, really, for TNA? Because they seem to...
I've always thought it was Bound for Glory.
I thought it was Bound for Glory, but Slammiversary, because it was the anniversary of their debut.
The debut, yeah.
Because Ring of Honor had a few, I think.
Well, this is a special Wrestle Kingdom this year as well, so it's the 50th anniversary. So there's a lot of sort of song and dance and pageantry surrounding that. But it's the 16th instalment of Wrestle Kingdom itself. So 50th anniversary for the company, but obviously Wrestle Kingdom, the event itself. 16 years. So I believe it's the 16th year in a row, I think, that it's held from the Tokyo Dome.
It says on my notes about it's the 31st consecutive year New Japan Tokyo Dome on January 4th.
And that's courtesy of Voices of Wrestling.
Yes, not our voices, but Voices of Wrestling. No,
Voices of Wrestling. And I believe that was posted by Chris Samsa on January 3rd, 2022. So, 31st consecutive year, they've said, which I wasn't aware that it had been that long that they've been in the Tokyo Dome or been using the Tokyo Dome for.
Yeah, I knew they did shows on January 4th, but obviously it had been the 16th Wrestle Kingdom. Part of me thought, well, what did they call it before? But it's just like a big show. Like,
yeah, well, it's just as time's gone on and evolved, and we'll see some firsts actually for New Japan on this particular show. But yeah, absolutely right. January 4th again is Wrestle Kingdom Night 1. Night 2 held on January 5th. This year again for a first again there was a Night 3. And Night 3 is unfortunately not something we're going to be covering in this one, but Night 3 was the New Japan versus Noah event.
Yes, it's kind of like the proper Forbidden Door.
It's one of them.
In a way.
Overused term, but it is in a way. We'd said before that it's not the first time that they've kind of intertwined. However, that's a big thing to do on your biggest show of the calendar year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Day 3 was not held from Tokyo Dome. That was held from the Yokohama Arena. And that was an exclusive event. To my knowledge, it was an exclusive event on the Abema TV app. So I think it was a pay-per-view that you had to purchase there.
Yeah.
Long story short, I've not been able to watch it. I've got the highlights, of course, but it's just really unfortunate. It wasn't, in my opinion, I don't think it was very easily accessible as opposed to the Wrestle Kingdom itself, because I bought the bundle on Fight TV. Good value for money. If that could have been put through there as well, then I would have obviously got that also. But it is just a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, you got the bundle, but you didn't get DLC.
No DLC. Yeah, I didn't get that. It basically was the DLC for Wrestle Kingdom this year. But no, we reviewed Wrestle Kingdom 15 last year. We had a really good time watching that.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? That doesn't feel like a year ago, but then again, we were all blocked up in our own rooms and we couldn't...
Yeah. So that's slightly different now, but it's not changed an awful lot, unfortunately, for New Japan in this regard. So, Day 1, Day 2, the same situation again. They were allowed a live audience, but they couldn't reach full capacity for the Tokyo Dome.
No, I don't know when they will get full capacity, because obviously restrictions are going to be different for everywhere.
Yeah, of course. But it was around about, I think, the 12,000 mark for attendees for night 1.
I think
and almost half that, actually, for night 2.
So it's how much does it hold?
What, the Tokyo Dome?
Yeah, because...
I think Tokyo Dome can hold up to 50,000, maybe even more, but it's somewhere between 50 to 60,000.
Right.
I'd say. So, I mean, you can see anyway, the lights are kind of dimmed out, obviously, but you can see all of the empty seats at the top tiers.
Yeah.
So it's really just the floor I think they have people on. And also, they have the restriction still that the crowd aren't allowed to make really an awful lot of noise. So no kind of audible shouting or screaming. You can't go wild, basically. So clapping was allowed and I think some noise, but really suffers for me. I don't want to say that it was hurt by it. It's just not the same without having that proper crowd participation.
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds stupid because everyone thinks the Japanese crowd is quiet and respectful, but...
Well, which they are.
Yeah. But when you say that they weren't allowed to make noise, it kind of makes you think, well, realistically, what's the difference? What,
of having them there? Or...
Yeah. I mean, would you...
Oh, but they do normally make noise. It's just that it is a very respectful audience. I think that's always been the kind of perspective of the Japanese crowd for wrestling. And it's, again, like I wouldn't want that to change. I think it's a beautiful thing to have those differences depending on where you are in the world. You know, that makes the wrestling products that much more different than what we're accustomed to in the West. And again, they're those true alternatives to what we oftentimes get over here. But again, I wouldn't say that it hurts it, but it's just a shame. But you can't really hold that against the company or the show itself because it's a product of the times that we're in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think they use like crowd noises to make it sound like...
No, which I'm glad about as well. Like I'm really happy that they don't do that because
WWE still do it, even though like, well, obviously they're not fully capacity because some of the empty arena shots you see, but they can still probably get noise. They do it even with like Rumble, like
they pipe them in. But yeah, you know, it's what it is. But let's dive straight into it for the English top commentary team. For both of the nights, it was Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton. So always nice having those two on commentary. I think last year we had Rocky Romero in there as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought it might have been, but
well, he was competing this year on the card, so different kind of way. That's better.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him on commentary, but you know it's better to see him in the ring, isn't it? So, but yeah, no, Chris Charlton. I mean, he's the walking encyclopedia for New Japan. So I found that as somebody that's been more recently over the last sort of couple of years getting more into New Japan. He's been a real big help for that because he really helps put things together because their structure's so different and the matches and builds to things are so different. You know, tournaments that lead into X, Y, Z and everything else. Like all of the structure there is such a vast difference to what we are accustomed to here. He really does help paint the picture and nothing changes for this event. Essentially, he you know, same Chris. Putting it all together for you nicely, and Kevin is Kevin Kelly. So
yeah, he's done it for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think it's pretty underrated. Probably how long he's actually been in the business for, but they're the voices on the English commentary. So we're going to go through pre-show as well, because obviously for night one it is the traditional the Rumble match, I suppose, the New Japan Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Battle Rumble, as I think I called it before.
Or well, it's I think as it is otherwise known as the New Japan Ranbo. So it's 19 men, New Japan Ranbo. It will determine the challengers for the provisional KOPW 2022 trophy, which will then, that match will take place on night 2. So we'll come to that later on in the review. But the Rumble obviously ends with the last 4 participants.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that go through. Before we get started, I'm bringing something back, Ash.
Sexy back?
Ah, oh, you know it, brother. No, I'm bringing back the trophy system.
Oh, okay.
So I'm tightening it up though. Now we're tightening the ship up. It's a new year, and I feel that if we're going to do trophies, then you can't just give them to anybody anymore. And there's none of this in between. You know, before when it used to be like, well, it's too good to be gold, but it's not good enough to be platinum, so it's gold in them. None of that.
No Gilver.
No Gilvers, no. And we couldn't do that one where it wasn't a trophy, but it kind of was a bronze, and we got nons.
Yeah, you can't call that.
No, yeah, because that doesn't go down very well. But the trophy system...
Did you have a bronze and silver in between? I don't think we did.
Yeah, well, it would have been, but I think it was... I can't remember ever giving anything the rating for that, but it would have been a Brilver, I'd imagine. Yeah. Or a Songs. I think Brilver. It would have been Brilver, right? Well, it has to be
the first name of the first...
It wasn't always.
Oh, no, but...
Because we had Gilver.
Yeah.
But no, the trophies are as followed. We've got bronze, we've got silver, gold, and platinum. If the match is... It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad match by any means, but if it's one of those that it just wasn't quite memorable or, for whatever reason, then it just won't get a trophy. Is probably the best way to go about it.
I think so.
That applies to this match, I would say. The New Japan Ranbo. No trophy for it. Pure reason, it's just sort of there, isn't it? Like, it's not... It's a traditional... It's a tradition for the show. It's not bad, but you know what you're going to get with it. It's quite light-hearted. They throw comedy in there. There's interesting spots. I think the biggest thing for me in this match was Shima and his return to New Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Shima? He debuted in AEW like way back when at the very beginning.
Yes, I do actually.
So yeah, it was a shock seeing him come out, and he's actually one of the last 4 participants in the match. Right. So we know we're going to then see him at night 2. I've got to say, for this reason particularly, this was better than last year's New Japan Ranbo for me, because it does have that memorable moment of that being in there.
I didn't watch last year. I remember you not liking it.
No, I didn't, because it was just so long, and this one is just shy, probably, I think, of about half an hour. But yeah, seeing Shima in there was awesome. I mean, that was his first appearance, I think, in New Japan. I think it was since 2009.
Is that right? That long?
That long. So yeah, we're looking at around about. I think it might have been later in the year, but I mean, you might as well, for argument's sake, it's about 13 years.
So where did he go from there then?
I think, well, aside from obviously AEW, which was more recent, I know he'd been wrestling in All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
But I think he potentially was in Dragon Gate.
I always forget Dragon Gate is this.
For some time, yeah. Well, I think he was there for a while, but again, I'm not overly familiar now with all the different promotions there. So for those that are listening to this, and by all means, please feel free to help educate me and point me in the right direction for some of the best stuff. Yeah. Because I'm always up for watching the best stuff. But yeah, one of 4 winners, so I suppose I should go through the other 3, but it was Chase Owens, Minoru Suzuki and Toru Yano. But yeah, Shima's a standout there anyway. Eliminates Taka Michinoku.
Boo, I hate him.
He's got some interesting hair now, Taka. But
he's got to be near 50.
He doesn't look it though. I'll give him that. Maybe he gets a trophy just for that. But no, enjoyable for what it was, but no trophy for that one. But that's the only one for the pre-show for night 1. We kick things off. They give us the opening package of 50 years of history, some cool stuff in there, and then again it's very it's got that New Japan feel to it. There's not really much more you can say about that really, but the opening singles match of the night is kind of a grudge match, if you will, between Yo and Sho. Dick Togo accompanies Sho to the ring. Sho now, I believe, is with the House of Torture,
right?
Which is Evil's faction since his split from Bullet Club, I believe.
Sounds about right to me.
These are former tag partners.
Yeah, they were challenging for the junior heavyweight tag titles the year before.
Yeah. And of course, a heel turn from Sho. Dick Togo. I just love Dick Togo. I just love seeing him pop up. I just love Dick.
Well,
we all love Dick. We all love him. The match itself, I liked it, but for New Japan standards, it was quite short.
Well, how short is short?
It's got to be it was about 12, 13 minutes long. It was 100%, it wasn't any longer than 13 minutes.
Yeah, when you think 30 minutes doesn't sound like a short match.
But for New Japan standards.
Yeah, New Japan is usually, obviously, because when in the main events and the bigger marquee matches, you always think it's 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
They are nowadays, yeah. Which is, I think that's the thing. Like, I don't want to go into that territory where because it was a shorter match, it was a bad match.
Oh no, there's been some matches in like 5 minutes, and I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah, but it just sort of existed for me. It just didn't do enough to sort of live that long in the memory. But there's something that kind of plagues night one for me, or day one, I probably should call it, for me, for Wrestle Kingdom. And this actually does factor into it. I'll probably elaborate on it a bit more as we go through the review, but day one this year felt more like a trailer or a preview for day two. Because most of the matches that happened on day one were kind of the things that you would expect to see on like a go-home show before the actual pay-per-view.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, because the year before was the unification of the Intercontinental and the World title, weren't it? So it kind of had the same effect to you as last year's did, but not. Because obviously, like, WrestleMania has a different card. We have a different guy for both days.
Yeah, although that's quite a new concept for WrestleMania, but yeah. This one is obviously they'll have the same people compete on both nights. Yeah. Not always, it's always the same people, but there's a lot of it. And where it doesn't quite meet the same standards for me from last year is... last year, I think we were all in agreement that day one kind of overall was a much better show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, day two wasn't bad. It just...
Oh, no, it was good. But
it didn't have the same...
There was more meat in the sandwich, in the middle of the sandwich, for day one.
Yeah.
And I feel like the roles have been reversed for day two here, but or for this year, I should say. But yeah, this one, it just ends with, I think, Show goes to cheat, obviously the House of Torches ways. It kind of backfires. I think it was a wrench I think he brought out, but regardless, it doesn't work for him, and Yo picks up the win there. So, but again, story continues into day two. No trophy. It was good though. Like, not as good, I think, as maybe some of their other stuff seems to have been, but it just wasn't that memorable, really. Okay. And for an opening contest, again, compared to last year, it was just sort of slightly easing you in. But
slipping the dick in.
Slipping, yeah. I think you had to start with Dick.
Yeah, you always have to start with
Dick. You have to start with Dick.
Dick to go in.
But next up is a 6-man tag team match, and it's Bullet Club members, I should say, Kenta, Taiji Ishimori, and El Phantasmo. And they're taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi and the Mega Coaches, which is Ryusuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero. Yeah, again, another sort of advertisement for what's going to come up in day two. This one. More so between Kenta and Tanahashi. So, night two, of course, it's going to be the IWGP US title on the line between Kenta and Tanahashi.
Right.
He's going to be defending that in a no disqualifications match. And there's a big thing built up here about Tanahashi not obviously wanting to suit that low, etc., etc. But we'll get to it for that match. Here, though, they kind of play on it. And again, for me, when I say about it had that go-home show feel, as opposed to being the actual Wrestle Kingdom card, the match ends in a disqualification because Tanahashi gets the kendo stick and just starts pelting, I think it was Kenta, but he just starts hitting him with it.
Right.
I get the story behind it, because again, I think we said last year, the story, a lot building around Tanahashi was that he's older now, can he keep up? Of course he can, he's still one of the best in the world, but this year the story's been more about, it's not his like physical attributes, it's about his morality. And it's about, look, he's the guy, he's never wanted to use weapons. He wants to win the title, but he's not going to like the way he's got to do it.
Right.
That was kind of the story, right? And they play on it in this match. Like I say, he kind of loses it at the end and starts using the kendo stick to beat on Kenta.
What's your opinion on having people wrestle two big matches in 2 nights?
Well, that's the thing for me. That's what I mean. This wasn't a big match. It didn't feel like a big match.
But like,
because we're going to see El Phantasmo the next night.
Right.
We're going to see the Mega Coaches the following night. So that's what I mean. There wasn't anything in this match aside from that ending.
Right.
There's nothing really that happens in this match that really stands out.
I know it won't be exactly 24 hours the next day and don't want to be too beaten up.
Yeah, you don't be too beaten up, but that's what they didn't go all out for it, and I wouldn't expect you to if you're going to have 2 matches in the span of 24 hours almost. But this is Wrestle Kingdom. This wasn't a go-home show, and the match was probably the most disappointing for night one for me.
Okay.
Just on the basis that this was a really slow start now, because the O versus show was as quick as it was. You wanted still a bit more out of it, and this match was just like, man, I hope we're going to pick up the pace a bit.
So this was a Bullet Club win, yeah?
Well, technically it's a Bullet Club win because of the DQ finish, but...
Because it's like Rocky Romero's only won once at Wrestle Kingdom. That was Wrestle Kingdom 11, where him and Beretta beat the Young Bucks.
I think they do mention that. So Roppongi Vice beating the Young Bucks that's also been mentioned recently on AEW because of the...
And Tanahashi is, and probably still is, the second most ring time in the Tokyo Dome. Only...
I think he has the most main events.
But Yushin Liger has the most time. But yeah, I reckon Tanahashi has more main events.
Yeah,
I sounds about right. It does sound about right.
I think so, for longevity there and everything. But yeah, so no trophy for this one. Interesting stats there. Again, that's a big thank you, I think, to Voices of Wrestling for getting the research there. Really interesting to read through. Well, okay, up next is it's another 6-man tag team match. This one, again, is just another trailer for Night 2. It's the United Empire taking on Los Ingobernables de Japon and the United Kingdom. The United Empire members is the... not reigning, but the air quote real IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Will Ospreay, taking with Great Khan and Jeff Cobb, and the Los Ingobernables de Japon members is Tetsuya Naito, SANADA, and Bushi. And I will apologise for any mispronunciation of Los Ingobernables de Japon. I don't say it often enough that it rolls off the tongue. So.
That's why Bullet Club's so easy to pronounce.
Yeah. But no, again, it's this. I liked it a bit more than the other one because it told a more interesting story with Will. But again, the match was just really sort of, for me, focused more around Will. Will Ospreay is 100% going to be taking on the winner of day one's main event.
Yeah.
Which is... So his kind of deal in this match is that he doesn't want to really get involved because, literally for the reason we were just saying with the other match, you want to be fresh. Yeah,
it's like doing Elimination Chamber, then going to a...
Well, maybe slightly different.
No, but it was like they did a War Games.
Right.
And then the next day it was Survivor Series, and then some people that were in War Games and were in it for a long time. Were in Survivor Series, like, it didn't actually, no sold. But yeah.
No selling, yeah. One thing is that people were selling stuff from day 1 to 2, which, by the by, but that doesn't happen here.
Then, what the fuck?
I know, right? But yeah, no, that side of things worked for me. And, of course, Jeff Cobb takes on Naito in day 2, and SANADA takes on Great Khan. So there's a bit of there's build there, for sure. But that's, again, just pushes into that idea that this was just like a warm-up teaser trailer for day 2. And it just I don't know, it was just a bit weird. It just felt really played with. I liked the match, as I say, more. I still wouldn't give it a trophy.
Okay.
If I was going to give a trophy for this one, I'd give it bronze. But I'm kind of struggling with the idea that this was... It feels like a pre-show match. Right. Like, I don't want to say... that sounds... I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's because day 1 is the pre-show to day 2. That's probably the best way to explain it. I don't know. It doesn't really get anything more than that for me. Hidden Blade seals the deal. I think it's Bushi that takes the pinfall. I can't remember. But it's the Hidden Blade ends it.
Considering that United Empire?
United Empire, yeah.
Yeah, they had the best trios record of last year. Then keep it going for the beginning of the year. And
it's good to keep the trios record going. They don't have such a good night too, but we get to it.
And does that mean that they will be like, if this is AEW, they'd be like ranked 15th in the trios?
Oh man, but no. Thankfully, after this one, we pick it up a bit, and this was kind of mind blowing. So, Katsuyori Shibata returned to pro wrestling in the G1 Climax.
Yeah, I think he did.
He was away from, I believe it was 2017, and it was due to an injury. You were aware of the situation with Shibata?
I knew about it.
Do you know what the injury was?
I don't actually, but it wasn't a neck thing, was it? Or was it was nearly paralysed?
He had a bleed on the brain.
That was it.
So I think it was a match with Okada, and he's delivering headbutts in the match. And they were, for whatever reason, I guess just unlucky, because you see it all the time, but he's headbutting, and they're stiff, but he collapses backstage after the match, and he's rushed to hospital, and yeah, it's some type of hematoma, but it's a bleed on the brain. So since he's been back, he had this just a grappling match with Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
So no striking, not allowed to do anything like that. It was just a wrestling match, but a grappling match. That was the deal here, and he had a mystery opponent, and the opponent was Ren Narita. Now, I don't know how much of it potentially is a work or not. They really kind of, Chris and Kevin really pushed this on the commentary, English commentary, but and they explained it as that he's gone into business for himself. But Shibata, just before the match starts, grabs the mic and he says, basically, we're to hell with those rules. We're not doing that. We're going to have a proper wrestling match.
Yeah.
And they do, and they proceed to kick the crap out of each other. Thoughts on that? I mean, do you think that was this slightly worked, or?
I can't think of, even though it sounds like a strong style type of thing, I don't want to say it would be worked. But
it feels like it's not a New Japan type of thing to work you like that.
No.
I don't know. I think it was a weird situation. And in all honesty, the match, I mean, just getting right into that, the match is awesome. Like, this was the first one of the card that made me kind of be like, wow, right, okay, Wrestle Kingdom. But it was just kind of odd, that beginning, just because, you know, if he's gone into business for himself or however you want to kind of word it. I mean, fair play to the guy for even just being in the ring at all after a bleed on the brain. I mean, by all sort of rights, potentially, he should have never even been back in the ring.
Nah, because obviously now you hear about people collapsing in sports and then their career never the same again, apart from the odd occasion. But yeah, bleeding the brain is not.
It's bad, yeah, really, really bad. Yeah. But honestly, you know, they still had a good wrestling match. It wasn't like they just went in there and it was just strikes galore. You know, catch wrestling is one of the staples, and it was really just really well done, well executed throughout the match. If I'm honest, I think Ren Narita came out of that match looking awesome. I mean, it's interesting to see potentially what Shibata's going to do going forwards, and if New Japan, you know, I don't know how kind of angry they would have been from that. You know, if we're presuming it's not a work, which again I think we're both leaning towards, and most people are going to lean towards it's not a work per se, that bit at the beginning of the match. But you know, if they're not angry of it, it'll be interesting to see what they kind of do. I think he's got to, just as long as he's careful, because you can't have this happening again, and New Japan can't let that happen on their watch either. So understandable. It's understandable for them to be very cautious of the situation. But I'm excited. I am genuinely excited to see what he does going forwards. And it was really just a tragedy anyway, what happened. But it was the fact that he was really just about to get this main event push at the time that it was happening. And him wrestling Okada, I think, was the testament to that.
Yeah.
But Ren Narita's got some. I think Ren Narita could have a great year.
Well, we have to wait and see, don't you? You never know what could happen. Because as also we are seeing a lot of people who we never thought would return to the ring coming back and having a better career for it. We're seeing it with Edge, we're seeing it with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. I think, and it's great. It's great to see people back, and as long as people are going to be healthy, that's really the main thing. So, you know, even the match quality aside, if this wasn't a good match, by all intents and purposes, you know, subjective, I know, but if you didn't believe it was a good match, that's kind of really secondary to the fact that we've got Shibata back in the ring, and, you know, he's happy to be there. But the thing is, on the plus side for me, as I said, this was a great match. I loved it. And, yeah, he picks up the win with the penalty kick, and that's that. PK kick, job done. Trophy definitely for this match. I suppose it's just whether or not this goes for bronze or silver.
You can't go in between.
I can't go in between. I think purely based on the fact that this was kind of out of nowhere, because of that announcement, I think we'll go silver for this one. It was a good outing, a really good outing, but more the bigger story there was more that Shibata's back.
Yeah, and it was his first Wrestle Kingdom match since Wrestle Kingdom 11, where he lost to Hiroshi Goto in a never open weight title match.
There you go.
5 years.
Never open weight championship is actually what comes up next.
Well, that was lucky I said that, wasn't it?
Evil comes out with his dick.
We get more dick.
Yeah, of course we get more dick. You can never have enough dick.
Jay ain't here.
But this one, it's for the Never Openweight Championship, and he takes on reigning champion Tomohiro Ishii, who again we'd recently seen wrestling in AEW also.
And Impact.
Yeah. The guy is kind of like, he's just built like a wall, isn't he? Like, he walks to the ring and his head's like, you know, so much further forwards than his body.
Yeah.
He's just got like his upper body strength just looks incredible. Like, he looks like a boulder, but with a head. He kind of looks like Gollum, the Pokemon.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Not Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but Gollum the Pokemon.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him that.
But yeah, Evil, again, as we say, comes out with Dick Togo. Evil, just on a side note, I think has one of my favourite entrance themes in all of New Japan. I love it. It's great though, isn't it? I love his entrance. This was, again, I really enjoyed this one. It's the same kind of deal as the match before, though, in terms of like how long they kind of were. I think they both fall under 15 minutes.
Right.
Which again feels really weird for New Japan, but pretty enjoyable, if I'm honest. Evil picks up the win and becomes a new Never Openweight champion. There is a spot in here worth mentioning, which is they're on the outside and they have the chair battle.
Right.
And then Evil gets the better of this exchange, but the base of the chair sort of comes out. Or I think he just, or he opens it slightly and basically he puts it over Ishii's head. Then he grabs the other chair and he swings full pelt at this chair whilst it's like wrapped around Ishii's head and it just spins around his neck. And it looked gross. Right. But like in a really good way.
But visually looks good.
It looked awesome. I like, again, it was Evil. Evil was kind of the guy that comes across here as the guy in the match. But I think this is the whole House of Torture thing at the moment. It's the gimmick of they'll do anything it takes to win a match. Right. And, you know, that is what happens here. And you always get that feeling when Dick Togo is about anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's a good heat there. Again, it's going to kind of set up a bit more for a match that they're going to have on day 2. Mm. But this one didn't feel as much of a pre-show bout for me. This one felt important because there was a title on the line. Yeah. There was something at stake here. And that's something that the other matches in the show just didn't really have. There wasn't really anything at stake for me, other than that kind of metaphorical momentum going into day 2. But that really was about it. But this one, bronze.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Couple of things. Ishii's got one of the worst records in the Tokyo Dome by someone who's wrestled more than 10 matches. He's like the third worst. There was the first time either of them had won a singles match in Tokyo Dome because
first time Evil's won a singles match in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, because he's always been like a tag team.
Wow, what was this match last year?
He lost to SANADA. I think it was, wasn't it?
Was it SANADA last year?
Yeah, Evil's first match in Tokyo Dome was his last year to SANADA.
Wow.
Ishii had lost the Never Openweight Championship match and the Red Pro Championship match before that. So he's not good at defending a title.
That's pretty bad.
Also, the Never Open Championship has changed hands the most has the highest percentage of any of the singles titles, but obviously...
Wow.
Now that the world title is a different lineage, if you know what I mean, because obviously when they vacate the original one, and that's the new one. And like the never openweight title seems to always change hands at the Wrestle Kingdom.
Wow,
it's like only one time. It's like 2 out of the last 9 times that it's been defended. It's had retained.
So that's a first then for Evil.
Yeah,
nice. I didn't know that. That surprised me. I suppose it's always little things like that.
Yeah, because you always think about...
It probably was mentioned, to be fair. I feel like that probably would have been mentioned on commentary, because they are very good with that.
Yeah.
Chris is particularly, but... No, that's very interesting. Well, I feel like this was kind of a repeat, actually, from last year, from Wrestle Kingdom 15. So we had the IWGP Tag Team Championship on the line next, and it was the reigning champions, Dangerous Tekkers, taking on Chaos. Dangerous Tekkers, of course, have made up of Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr., I think Miho Abe comes out with Taichi.
Right.
I think that might be her name. And Chaos members Haruki Goto and Yoshihashi. A tag team I think that was formed last year. Long story short, Chaos walk out with the titles, but I'm pretty sure Dangerous Tekkers, because they went in as reigning champions last year, I believe.
I think so.
And then they lost, and then I think they only recently won them back.
Yeah,
so I don't know if this
sounds about right. That does sound about right.
I don't know if this was potentially their first title defense. I like it. It takes a bit of a while to get going, but I feel like sometimes the sort of Dangerous Tekkers matches they can be a bit more like that.
Right.
The longer ones, and I say longer ones, and this one does clock in at around about probably maybe 16 minutes ish.
Okay.
So again, it's not like long, but it's...
But to be fair, it is a long show, so it's not... It has the right to do it.
I think that's... Do you know what? I think that's half the problem, is because like it's a long show anyway, and then when you're looking at both days together, it is long, and you can lose sort of track of time on stuff. So sometimes things might feel longer than they actually are. I think that was probably the case for this one. It did feel a bit longer than it was because it like I said, it took a bit of a while to get going. It was still a good match for me.
So there was new champions. New
champions. Again, set something up going forwards. Nice for Chaos, I guess. But I think more to do with the fact that I think something like these guys were... I don't want to say like maybe lower card talent, but they certainly weren't featured in the same light as, say, Dangerous Tekkers are. You know, this feels like a big break for them, and that's a good thing for them. So
they were sneakering you tonight. So, I still don't know. I think I said this last year about do they really know what Dangerous Tekkers is in Japan? 'Cause I don't think they understand.
Yeah.
Do they know what Tekkers means?
Tekkers, probably, maybe, if they've looked into it a bit more. It's just funny, isn't it? It's just the British sort of term, and like you just know that's 100% come from Zach, and then
definitely.
Will Ospreay comes out with some good stuff now as well that you just think they probably just don't know, and for us it's just funny, isn't it?
It's having the Cheeky Nando's kit.
Yeah, Cheeky Nando's kit. I mean, because he's a heel now, so he just calls everybody a slag. So of course he does. But this match, not to say too much more on it, because again, the same with any of the matches really. You have to go and watch it yourself, and you have to form your own opinions really. But you know, I liked it. I think that there was some backstory, I think, between Taichi and maybe Yoshihashi. They're two kind of face tag teams, I believe. So it's not like, do you know what I mean? It was nice.
There are some good stats in this though. When, that the tag titles, the heavyweight tag titles, have changed hands in the last 10 Tokyo Dome defenses. Do you want to know who the last successful team was?
What, to defend the titles?
Yeah, that defended it.
God, I mean, it's probably years ago.
2013.
Wow.
And it was David Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer.
Wow.
And it was against Goto and Carl Anderson.
So that really is like a cursed title
Yeah.
to defend at Wrestle Kingdom.
But you say that. Goto, before that match, had lost the last 5 attempts of winning the tag titles. Yoshihashi, is that how you pronounce his name? Had lost it was 0-6.
Wow.
And the tag team were Goto and Hashi were 0-3, and they lost 2 title matches to Zack Sabre Jr. before. Tag titles have been defended 30 times in Tokyo Dome and changed hands now. Well, 31 now. It's been changed hands 18 times. It's been defended 265 times since 1985, since they've had the tag titles. And It's changed hands about nearly 35% of those matches. So it's a pretty good. Yeah,
that
good.
is. Wow. Well, that's another one for the stats to tack on there then. But yeah, I'll give it a bronze. This one.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Bronze.
Bronze.
Well, we're into our semi-main event for the for day one. This one contested for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and it sees the reigning champion El Desperado taking on Hiromu Takahashi. I enjoyed this one a lot, actually, but again, I think we're looking at under 20 minutes. I don't know how many times they've gone against each other in the past. There's clearly history there. But the story as it was being built on commentary was that El Desperado essentially can't really call himself a real champion. Like he can't be a true IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion until he defeats Hiromu Takahashi. And I feel like that was really heavy going into it and during the match. At least laid on by commentary. Desperado does retain.
Right.
So, I guess then that kind of puts a lid on that element of it. But I can't really go through all like move by move of things that happen in this, but it kind of is like 100 mile an hour thing. It is one of those like where it is just, I think best match of the night so far. This one, up to this point, this is the best match. It is a silver for me, purely just based on the fact that, again, like gold and platinum have got to be like, like I said, I've gotten stingy now in in the past year.
Yeah, funny how we always talk about if it was in a Tokyo Dome, 6 stars. But this isn't a Tokyo Dome.
Well, no, we probably should have had a look and seen what Meltzer gave some of these, but
do it in a bit, actually.
This is what, it's up to him, isn't it? But I liked it, and the silver's, for a trophy, it's wonderful, isn't it? So I'm sure everybody cares.
Hey.
It's just there to give it some sort of structure, isn't it? Because that's what we lack.
Did you say it was retain?
Yeah, El Desperado retained the title on this one.
Because it was the first time since some bloke called Prince Devitt defended it in 2013.
I feel like they mentioned that. I think they mentioned it on there.
Yeah, it beat Ibushi and Loki to retain his title in 2013.
Wow.
So we talked about how the tag titles have done the same thing.
Which is, I think they needed some good moments. Like they needed moments for the stats like this in there. Again, it's a 50th anniversary show. You want there to be memorable things, and that day one wasn't memorable overall for the match qualities of certain, for most of the cards. So at least it can go down in the books there. But I did like it. I think there's better matches that they've had. Potentially, and that was, I think, most of the kind of sort of feeling online about it. I can't really comment on that because I've not really seen many of their other encounters, but for what this was, I enjoyed it.
It says that they had a match in 2006, which was I think it was a time limit draw. Well, no, they had a time limit draw in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. It was the first time since 2006.
Wow.
Also, the Junior Heavyweight title seems to be the least. 28.60% of the time it's changed hands. That's before, obviously, that's before the. So it's been going since 1986. It's had over 300 matches.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's been like 19 times.
That's crazy.
In Tokyo Dome. So, also it says the shortest time was 36 minutes. The shortest match of a junior heavyweight title defense.
Well, before this it would have been, yeah. But this was 100%. This was under 20 minutes. I think.
Yeah,
I think I read somewhere it was about 16 something,
right.
But it's 100%. Yeah, it was a quick ordeal. A lot of them were. The longest match of the night, even longer than the New Japan Ranbo, is the main event, Ash, and that's what we're on now.
Ooh.
For the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, reigning and defending champion Shingo Takagi defends against Kazuchika Okada, or as some call him, the Shawn Michaels of New Japan. Shawn Michaels of Wrestle Kingdom. Sometimes people say. I don't know if that's like always a fair comparison, but I think
Mr. Wrestle Kingdom.
He's Mr. Wrestle Kingdom. That's the best way of putting it. I mean, the backstory to this is that because it is kind of a weird one. Obviously, following Wrestle Kingdom last year, we had the unification match. Kota Ibushi, clear undisputed champion, has got both the IWGP. I think it was heavyweight and the Intercontinental, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Strapped together, and then they create the new belt that you said reminded you of the Divas title.
Yeah, it still hasn't grown on me, but it probably will do in the future.
Or like a Cody Rhodes neck tattoo is what people say.
Yeah, it was the Divas title and the Cody neck tattoo. I knew we were going to talk about it.
You can never not talk about Cody Rhodes. No, the belt's grown on me. I do like it. I just prefer the old one. So, nice that Okada comes out with the old one.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like burying the title already.
I don't think. It wasn't. It wasn't like that, and it didn't come across like that. I think it was more of a respect thing. But again, so that all happens, and then Will Ospreay takes the title off of Ibushi, and it kind of felt like we were going to get this big now run from Ospreay, and injury, of course, plagues, as it always does, and always seems to hit at like the worst times. Like, no, it's not like you never want anyone to be injured, but like it's always during something like the worst possible time, isn't it? But that's what happens effectively, and then he has to drop, and we fast forward. We've got Shingo Takagi now as the champion, and in all fairness to him, guy's had a pretty good run. I believe he had the most single match victories of 2021.
Yeah, he had the most, and Okada had the second most.
Okada had the second most,
but by win percentage, Ospreay was better. But also that would include like tag matches.
Well, realistically though, when you look at that, then I suppose it's apropos that you have those three main event in both nights.
Yeah, it's storytelling without knowing you're doing the storytelling itself.
Unless it's all planned, I guess, though, isn't it? I mean, like, in terms of, obviously it's planned, like, but they're booked, but if that's the way they want it, I mean, that's strong booking, isn't it? Like, ultimately, it just comes down to you've booked them, they're the strongest of the year, and now they're main event in the biggest, show. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Okada, obviously, G1 Climax winner, and he comes out with the old belt, and Shingo comes out, awesome attires. Again, New Japan entrance, I mean, attires anyway, but like it's usually like just the walkout gear is always just awesome. Okada's got this really nice kind of like kimono, I think, and it's got like loads of scripture on it, and it's all history of New Japan over the last 50 years that they reference out in commentary. That's really cool. Shingo looks cool. I mean, this match was under 40 minutes, but it's probably not shy, or only maybe just shy of maybe 40. It's somewhere between that sort of 35-40 mark. I expected as much. It's a main event of Wrestle Kingdom. This match easily was, for me, the best match, like quality-wise, of the show. But I was a bit burnt out by the time we got to it. That's the only criticism, but that wasn't the match's fault. That was kind of a byproduct of the show, really, for me, of day one. But the match was just amazing. Like, for me, if more than anything, although Okada walks away with the title here, and that kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
I think you had to have Okada and Ospreay night 2.
So Okada would become the second most main event winner in the Dome. Only Tanahashi was better.
He said long. I think, like we said, I think he's had longer there, hasn't he?
And it would tie the series between Shingo and Okada to 2-2.
Okada is the right guy to win, and it's a hell of a fight. But I just think Takagi came out of that looking pretty good. You know, I don't. The guy's like, I think late 30s. I might be wrong about that, and that's, you know, considering that he only kind of really went into the main event scene last year, it seems a bit later for him.
Right.
But I would 100% want to see him back there because he really was kind of like a shock. For me, the match is a platinum.
Okay.
Just a really bizarre night because nothing really was... It just didn't have like a good build up to it. It was kind of like you had to sit through it. You had a couple of nice little gems here and there. And then, you know, you got that. But even this match is kind of like a bit of a prequel to the following night.
Yeah.
And I know that's not... it was sort of similar last year because of the, you know, Bushi going up against Jay White.
Yes.
But a lot of I feel like last year there was a lot more build around Ibushi and Naito. So that still felt like a really big match. Whereas this one, yeah, it was still built as a big match between Okada and Takagi. But anyone in their right mind knew that this was always going to end with Okada and Ospreay again. You know, second Wrestle Kingdom in a row that they're going to have a match. You know, and they have got a lot of history there. So, and it's to crown effectively the undisputed champion. Yeah, because, you know, Ospreay does have a kind of a claim to it because he never lost it. But
it didn't need a ladder match to do it. Which seems to be the thing, hasn't it?
No ladder match needed. But no, night 1 overall, that one's in the books. I'll try and whiz through.
Do you want to do the Meltzer ratings or not bothered?
Well, you can go through them if you want for them.
Well, yeah. I'm going to get the names wrong, so I'm going to call it Yosho.
Yosho. Well, that was kind of, you could just say pre-show match 1.
Well, the pre-show isn't on here. Match 1 was 3 stars. The first 6-man tag was 2.25. The next one was a 3. Shibata was a 3.
Shibata, yeah.
Yeah, Shibata was a 3.5. What did you say about Ishii and Evil? What did you say?
I gave it a bronze.
1 star. Meltzer gave it.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people did potentially like it, but again, it's subjective, and I enjoyed it. But maybe it was because it's conditioning of I wasn't overly impressed with the card before. And again, it's not saying it's bad, but it doesn't live up to the typical Wrestle Kingdom standards. But I'm sticking by it. You know, I enjoyed it.
Okay, fair enough. We always say it doesn't matter what one person says or what you think.
No, exactly, and that's the same for everybody listening.
Tekka's was 4.25, same as Desperado. The main event was a 4.75. So almost the same as yours.
Oh well, almost. Never seen me and Dave Meltzer in the same room at the same time, have you? Cheers, Dave. Cheers for that, mate. Right.
Can I find day 2 stats now? Okay.
Day 2. I'm going to try and whiz through day 2. 3 matches on the pre-show for this one, and they're all 6-man tags. The first one is Yuji Nagata and Great Bash Heel. They defeated the Bullet Club members of Bad Luck Fale, Guido and Jado. It's just sort of there. Like, it's alright. No trophy, but it is just sort of there. Second one on there was Master Waito and Tenkozy, I think is how you pronounce it, which is Hiroshi, Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima. And they beat Suzuki Gun members El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Taka Michinoku by submission. Strange, because El Desperado kind of had his big moment the night before, and then he comes out here.
50-50 booking.
It was a bit, yeah, well, it was a bit 50-50 booking, and I was intrigued to see how some of the results from the night previous would impact, day 2.
Day 2?
Los Ingobernables, the Japan members Shingo Takagi, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi also then defeats Suzuki Gun members Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Dookie.
They did it all for the Dookie.
And they did it all for the Dookie. So yeah, not a great couple of nights for Dangerous Tekkers.
Nah.
Overall, they lost both matches on both the nights, but Shingo picks up a win there at least. But it's not the last time we'll see him on the card. I might as well just cover that bit now, actually, before we get into the main card. But we do have a segment later on. I think it's about sort of halfway through where the Pro Wrestling Noah guys walk out and they take over the ring. And they're just in there sort of cutting the promo, building up for that kind of exclusive night 3, right?
Yeah.
It is really cool because leading the charge is Keiji Muto. Haven't seen him for a long, long time on New Japan. He leads them all out there, and then you get like Shingo and a couple of the others coming out. I think Naito was with him. I can't remember. I think he was. But you get them coming out and they're just sort of like, well, there's only 3 of us and 20 odd of you, so we won't do this now. We'll wait until the show a few days later, which I think was on the 8th, because it was a few days.
It was gap. Because I think it was the Monday and Tuesday. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And then,
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yeah.
And I think it was. I think it was definitely a Saturday for the day 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but nothing, no trophies really needed for the pre-show. That was something that happened midway through. Into the matches, Ash. We had Flying Tiger taking on... it was a 3-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Tag Team Championship, I should say. So it's a triple threat, basically, like tag team match.
Yeah, I think they do this every year, don't they?
Yeah, so you had the champions... The Flying Tiger, which is made up of Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask.
Which one? Because there's 5 Tiger Masks.
Yeah, well, current Tiger Mask. Taking on the Mega Coaches, Ryusuke Taguchi and Rocky Romero. And Bullet Club's cutest tag team, Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo. So that's their gimmick.
Right.
Now, and that's actually what they're known as, is Bullet Club's cutest tag team, which is quite funny.
Is it?
I like it. I just think it's funny.
No, I don't mean guys. Funny, but is it the cutest tag team? Because there's a few tag teams in there.
I mean, Rocky Romero's alright, isn't he? Cute little man.
I was going to say out of the Bullet Club members, but yeah, fine.
Cute little man. I can't believe the words cute little man just come out of my mouth to describe Rocky Romero. Honestly, he's probably bigger than me.
In what way?
In every way.
Okay.
But no, I enjoyed this, actually. Probably a lot more than I thought I would. Definitely a better opener. Good story around El Phantasmo at the moment. So they've been building this thing with him that he's got the loaded boot.
Okay, so...
Older thing in wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah.
The long story short here was that it's been speculated for ages that El Phantasmo's got something in his boot that when he kicks people with it, he knocks him out. There's a point in the match where they all kind of hold him down. They get his boot off. They're looking in the boot and they pull out a little chunk of metal. And what happens here was really interesting because you don't see this done really ever. But the referee's holding it now. And he's like, wait, this is from your boot. Everyone's like, yeah, it's from his boot. And it's this kind of well, what's going to happen here moment. And he goes over, it looks like he's going to call for the DQ. And I'm like, they're not going to end the opening match of day 2 on a DQ.
And it's a triple threat.
In a triple threat. But he does DQ, but he DQs the Bullet Club, or Bullet Club's cutest tag team, which effectively just eliminates them from the match. Right. So the match continues with the other 2 teams. I thought that was really good. I liked that.
That's different.
It is different. That's what I mean. You don't ever really see it. But logically, that makes sense. If you're going to DQ people in a multi-man match where there's 3 opposing sides as opposed to 2, mm-hmm. A 1-on-1, 2-on-2, there's 3 different teams here, it just makes sense to disqualify the team, but the match doesn't have to end because, do you see what I mean? Like, it just, you're disqualified you're removed from this match because it just made like, the logic there hurt my brain because you're not used to seeing, like, logic like this properly in wrestling.
I mean, I was going to say, there was one, I can't remember which game it was, but I did get DQ'd in a triple threat match on one of the SmackDown games.
Do you remember that game when Seth Rollins gets DQ'd in Hell in a Cell? Oh wait, no, that actually happened.
Well, you say there's been
throwing shade.
There's been cage matches and multiple promotions that ended in DQ.
Oh yeah, no, it's not just a WWE thing. It's just they're the big dog. It's easy to throw sticks at them, isn't it? But but anyway, it's not about them. It's about New Japan, and more specifically, it's about Flying Tiger, who retained the title. So Robbie Eagles, Tiger Mask, they keep the championship in this one.
Cool.
I did really enjoy this match. To be honest, I give this a silver just for the ingenuity of that disqualification spot.
Right.
Because it's one of those rare occasions where a DQ happens, and I was like, oh, that actually, like, I enjoyed that because it didn't take away from the match. It took them away from the match, but
I was going to say, but
story-wise, it made so much sense.
Did he actually use it, or was it because he got found out?
But this whole story with the boot, though, the loaded boot, has been going on for some time. Like, this isn't just for Wrestle Kingdom like sort of thing. It's been going on for months.
It's the Regal Brass Knuckles. It's
the Regal Brass Knuckles.
Meltzer gave this a 4.
Okay. Silver for me. A strong silver. Just like the boot. Just like the metal in the boot.
Big boot.
Big boot. Right, this next one. This is the real history-making moment for me. So, last year we had a Stardom match on the pre-show.
Yeah. This
year, we got a match on the main card.
Which is something I've asked about for the last couple of years. Why haven't they done it?
Crazy that it's weird that it's taken this long, but it is also such a welcome addition. The thing for me though is that, again, it's good, but it's such a shame that it's happening during this kind of era again where they're not allowed to make noise, because it would be really interesting to see how the fans reacted to this.
Yeah,
because this I feel like this was a much more emotional moment than kind of how it come across, because you couldn't have that crowd participation, and you couldn't have them be audible.
I have watched some Stardom, not it properly, but they do get a good reaction from the crowd that they've had before pre-pandemic. So. Yeah,
but that's what. But this is Wrestle Kingdom.
But doesn't it sound bad that it had to take I'm not saying it had to take a pandemic to get this match on main card, but it happened during the pandemic.
I think that's what I'm saying. It's a shame that it is happening now, and it doesn't feel like live, that it can get that same appreciation, and that moment just isn't quite the same because you can't have people cheer it or become overly emotional about it. And I imagine that there would be something like that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a really special moment.
Yeah, but do you think, and I don't think they could get people from across the American wrestlers that aren't stationed in Japan, that this has replaced a match that could have been this could have been like a Moxie match, or this could have been someone from I get
what you mean. I don't know how long this was penciled in for, if I'm honest, but let's be honest, there must have been some sort of problem with filling some of these matches, because a lot of the same people from day one are on day two.
Yeah. So
you can only imagine there is a bit of that, but I would like to hope that it's not something like that. I don't know. I'm going to apologise for I'm a bit nasally. I'd like to think that it's not to do with that. But I mean, regardless, I'm really, really happy it's there. But the exhibition match was a tag team match, and it did see Mayu Awatani and Starlight Kid taking on Tam Nakano and Saya Kamitani. Apologise if I've not pronounced those accurately, but yeah, that's the match there. It's Tam and Saya actually pick up the win here. The match was... I don't know what the overall perception is of the actual match. I've got to give it a gold.
Right.
Just purely on the basis that this is historic. There really is only one first. And again, I know we did it sort of last year, but it was pre-show. So it's not to take anything away from that, but this was part of the actual main card.
Yeah.
And that's, again, we're still moving it in the right direction. So for me, huge thumbs up on that one.
So you gave it gold. Meltzer gave it 4 as well.
Good. I mean, because I enjoy the match, but I don't know if, like, part of it, because I was kind of beaming from ear to ear with it, because I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, New Japan Wrestle Kingdom, and we've got women in here just, like, they're actually wrestling. They're not being valets. They're not off doing, you know, like, it sounds weird. Like, I don't want to sort of be nasty about it, because I know it's different cultures and different sort of ways of looking at things, and it's not like one person's way is better than the other or anything like that.
It's kind of like, to me, Mickey James and Trish Stratus at Mania 22.
Finally, yeah.
Where it's like they finally had a women's match that actually felt like a match and not just like a couple of minutes.
Some sort of, yeah,
slack fest, and
which is good. But yeah, no, I easily it's a gold. It was just great, and it's going to be memorable for all of the right reasons as well, and that's not always necessarily the case. So
which is what we need in wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Feel good. That's what we like. That's what we watch it. Speaking of feel good, again, we get to see Shima back on in a New Japan ring again for the next match, as we see the 4-way for the Provisional KOPW 2022 trophy, and that is the previous night's winners of Chase Owens, Shima, Toru Yano, and Minoru Suzuki. What's weird, actually, watching it again, like through Fight, they have to cut the music for a lot of people.
All right.
So they either play like the generic thing, like Taiji gets, you don't hear him singing when he's coming out of Dangerous Tekkers. Like, you obviously, that's part of his entrance, but you can't hear it because of the song he's singing to. Same thing here, actually, with Minoru Suzuki. We don't get Kazninair, isn't it? I think it's pronounced.
I'll accept that because my pronunciation is terrible.
It's Kazninair and Rain or something like that.
Is it?
I feel really bad because I feel like as a wrestling fan you should be able to know that.
Yeah.
I could sing to it when it comes on and it hits that chorus. Everyone sings together, but I think it's something like that. To be honest, Excalibur said it enough times; it should have drilled into my head now. But I think the pronunciation is something like the pronunciation's like King of the World, King to the World. I think there's something like that. I think anyway, but I'll be absolutely destroyed in the comments anyway if I've got that wrong, which I probably have. So I'll look forward to that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this wasn't really an overly memorable match. It wasn't very long at all. I think actually shortest of the night.
It was the year before though, weren't it?
It wasn't very.
Didn't that open the main card?
I think it did last year. Yeah,
on day 2 at least.
This one kind of gets that sort of, again, it's sort of at the beginning, but just as you reach in the middle of the night sort of thing. So I don't know. It was. I mean, that's what I mean. The fact that it was so short, it was fine. It wasn't offensive or anything. It doesn't get any trophies, ironically. Suzuki gets beaten down after the match. They handcuff him to the ropes, but I thought, it's going to build something down the line there. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. But yeah, no trophy on that one. We do have next another 6-man tag team match.
They love it, don't they?
I know, yeah. It's it's a lot. I think it's one of those, like, WrestleMania is no different in the sense that they put things together just to have people in. Like
the Battle Royals.
Yeah. So I don't know. But again, like, a lot of these people were on day one, so I suppose you can't really use that as an excuse. But it is a good thing because we get to see some dick again. House of Torture members Evil, Yujiro, Takahashi and Sho, who again we saw from day one, come out with Dick Togo, and they're taking on Chaos members Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi and Yo. This for the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship. So Evil obviously picks up the Never Openweight the night before, as we've gone through. They are currently the reigning 6-man champs here on the Never Openweight 6-man tag titles. So they're looking to defend them, which they do successfully here. I liked it, again, but I suppose this is one of those, we'll see where it all kind of leads longer down the road with House of Torture and what they'll do with them. I wouldn't give this one a trophy though.
Well, Meltzer gave it 2.5, so it feels like you kind of agree.
This is awkward, isn't it? But no, I don't dislike it. I just didn't, it won't stick with me. I won't remember it. If it wasn't the fact that I watched it yesterday, I won't remember this in a week, really.
So it's your version.
I've already forgotten most of it.
Yeah. But it's your version of a Shawn Spears match.
I remember some Shawn Spears matches. He makes you remember some of them. I remember Tully being on his pants. On his Dick Togo. I remember that.
Yeah, but...
I remember Dick Togo, and that's really all that matters here, because Dick is the man.
Yeah, if you forget Dick...
You can never forget Dick.
No.
Everyone needs to remember Dick.
But what about Dom?
That's a British reference. Dick and Dom. Do you want to play bogeys?
I've already done it.
Moving into next match of the night is SANADA taking on Great Khan. So again, another one that we kind of got the teaser for on day one. Slow, this one, really.
Well,
slow.
Every time I've seen Great Khan, I don't think lightning quick.
No, I really like Great Khan. I like his style a lot. And SANADA's got like such an interesting look about him. This is actually one of the ones I was looking forward to more, and maybe that's probably the reason why I was a bit more disappointed by it.
Right.
It's not a bad match by any stretch, but I just feel like it was, like we said for night one with the Dangerous Tekkers and Chaos match, it started slow and then picked up, and I just don't feel like this one ever really picked up to a point that I felt like it should have got to, for me. So... Again, not a bad match. There isn't a bad match on spread across all two nights, but this was just not. Considering how close it is towards the end of the night, it was a bit of a bring down in pace for me, but enjoyable nonetheless.
Right.
I think it's just again like my point at this, where I am at this point in time is I'm already kind of tired because I'm watching this whole thing like in one go, and 4 hours. Well, a bit more than 4 hours for day two is a lot. So, no trophy, but there'll be those out there that I'm sure that really enjoyed this one.
Well, you say no trophy, and we know how you agree with Meltzer in the last match. 3.25 he gave that one.
I suppose it's there for... I just wanted it to pick up more than it did. It does pick up, don't get me wrong, it doesn't like plod on at one pace for the entire thing. And in comparison to, again, like what I'm expecting from Wrestle Kingdom, it wasn't what I was quite expecting. I guess that's probably the big thing for me on that one. But I think also it's because we've had better matches spread throughout this card than we did day one by this point in the show.
Okay.
Just it was just sort of there for me. Okay. Next match, though, however, I can't say the same thing about, which is Tetsuya Naito taking on Jeff Cobb. And I mean, Naito is one of my favourites from New Japan anyway.
Yeah. And
Jeff Cobb is one of my favourites in general. I love Jeff Cobb. I will continue to bang on about a dream match being Jeff Cobb and Taz.
Well, I'd always say that Jeff Cobb was the guy that AEW
dropped the ball with.
Yeah, dropped the ball and missed the boat, whatever you want to call it on.
Whatever the situation was there, if they could have signed him, they should have signed him. But he is having a great run.
Yeah.
In New Japan. You can't deny that. But... like I say, we won't get Jeff Cobb versus Taz. Maybe one day we get Jeff Cobb versus Hook. I love him. I love everything about him in the ring. I think one of the stories they were telling on commentary here is that he's trying to steal other people's moves too much and needs to have more confidence in his own ability.
All right.
I think it's a story they're going for here.
No, that is different.
It is different because I think he hits a moonsault, backfires. It actually leads to the kind of downfall for him in this match. Naito does pick up the victory. I want to see more. I don't know. I imagine at some point down the line you'll have to have Cobb turn on Ospreay and, break free on his own. Because Cobb's too good to be like just the middle of the road guy in a faction.
Yeah, maybe we see that next year for Wrestle Kingdom.
Maybe, yeah. But I don't know. I think because we still need Ospreay to get a win over Okada, which we are coming to. But no, I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to go through all the moves in it. I think you really do need to just watch this one. I would 100% give this one a gold. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, Mount says 3.75. So that's near enough.
Middle of the road. It might sound a bit weird considering I didn't give SANADA and Great Khan anything. But this one, again, it's just two styles that I feel worked really well together in Naito and Cobb. And there is some bias there because they are two of my favourites. But, it's my rating.
Exactly.
Semi-main event then is Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Kenta for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. This is a no disqualification match, and when they were telling you that it was a no disqualification match, I was a bit like, well, we'll see how they do this, because New Japan is not known for that sort of style, really.
No, and most companies, no DQ can be like one chair shot or like a table spot or kendo stick.
This one, I didn't know what to expect. But it was the closest thing to a hardcore match that I've seen New Japan ever do.
I mean, they did do, was it Archer Moxley?
This raised the bar 100%. I mean, Kenta doesn't waste any time getting kendo sticks out, throws one in the ring to Tanahashi, and they kind of start fighting with those straight away. Definitely seeing a different side of Tanahashi than what you've used to seeing throughout the years. Then the chairs start coming in. Then there's a big pile of chairs being built and they're hitting the moves on the big pile. And that always is a cringe thing for me. Not cringe as in, oh no, why are they doing it? But, oh my God, why are they doing it? Because it just looks like every move sucks on there. Like,
right.
You just, when you take like a big back body drop on it or something like that, or a suplex, a slam, anything like that. And you just feel like one of the legs of them chairs is just going to like pop you straight in the rib or something. It looks like it's horrible to take anything on there, but they hit quite a few moves there. Chair shots, bin lid, a trash can comes out, and then tables start coming out.
Yeah.
There's two table spots in this one, but the first one goes with an amazing Falcon's arrow.
Oh, okay.
From the top rope.
Nice.
From Kenta to Tanahashi. That was great. The landing of it, though, honestly, it looked disgusting. So if you watch it back, you definitely got to check this one out. But if you watch it back, you see Kenta when he lands, like his knee is like under the table. So like Tanahashi goes through, Kenta's knee kind of like bends inwards and the table lands on it. I honestly thought there was going to be an injury there, but looks like he was fine. But yeah, it looked gross. But no, that was a really cool spot. And then then we get to a couple of points in this match where the crowd actually make noise.
You make that sound like they were quiet all the way through the whole show.
No, but I mean, it is super quiet. Like obviously they're doing what they're told, but it is just clapping. They genuinely make noise here, like it's audible. Kenta gets this big ladder out, and I mean, it's a big ladder. It's funny because he's shouting at a ref, like telling the ref to help him.
Right.
Well, Chris is doing the translation for it, but he's saying that he's telling the ref to help, and the ref's like, "No, I'm not touching it." Which is really weird because actually the ref doesn't touch it at all. Even when he's fine, he gets through it. He's tightened it all up how he's meant to. He's going back to like hit Tanahashi a few times whilst this is happening.
Yeah,
to make it look believable. But it was good again. Like I liked it. It seemed quite realistic. He's got Tanahashi set up now, propped up on this other table in the ring anyway, and it looks like he's going to climb up the ladder, jump on him. Right? He starts climbing the ladder, and it does look a bit wobbly. It's a big ladder, right? Ref doesn't get, like we'll see it in like AEW and WWE, like pretty much any other wrestling company. When they start, they'll hold the ladder, and like the camera crews just have to sort of do their best to sort of not show it so it's too obvious, but they'll hold the ladder for support. Not this ref. He's in the corner. He's like, I ain't touching it.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So it was really wobbly, but then Tanahashi gets up off the table and he starts swaying the ladder. And it goes like really far one way, and it's like, oh my God. And the crowd, like, they gasp. And that was the first time they made the noise. Kenta takes a big, hard smack on the mat. His head smashes with the trash can that was used earlier, cuts his head open. And then Tanahashi puts him on the table. He climbs up and hits this huge splash off the top. And again, the crowd, like, actually makes noise for it. Gets the win.
Nice.
Really, really good match. Like, genuinely, it was a good match anyway, but it just shocked me because of how different that was for New Japan. I've got to give it a platinum.
All right. Meltzer gave it 4.
I've got to give it a platinum. It was so different from them. And again, that's what I wanted to see. Like, for a 2-day show that on day one just felt like there wasn't quite enough there, this one really did, it was really picking up now. Now I felt ready for the main event after seeing that. Ash, you'll be pleased to know we're at the main event.
Oh, good, I can go home in a minute.
This is the singles match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The unofficial undisputed match, but it's the second one at Wrestle Kingdom between Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. And long story short, I don't know if you remember last year's, but we rated it really high.
Yes.
And we loved it.
Because it was Jay White.
This one, main event-wise, but I mean the actual Ospreay and Okada match. Yeah. That match from last year with them two, we rated high.
I think everyone did. I think everyone.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. This one, I've got to tell you, was better.
Really?
Yeah. This one was easy. I'll just go now say it's platinum, because it is platinum. The only thing for me in this match is I kind of would have wanted to have seen Ospreay win it.
Is that not the British wrestling fan saying it, or is that because he didn't?
No, even
because he didn't unfairly lose the title. He had to be forced to give it up.
There's a bit of that in there. I'm not overly as concerned with that again, because if the story has moved on to a point where it makes more sense to go in a different route now, then I'm all for that. But no, genuinely, it's not. Like, win, lose, or draw. He's in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. That's already a huge win. I just think it's more because when you look at that history between Ospreay, Chaos, and Okada, that it felt like this would be the one where he gets his win back. Because, I mean, Okada goes over him last year.
Yeah. And
United Empire actually had a really bad day too. Like, they don't win any of their matches.
Didn't they do it the same last year? Because Jeff Cobb didn't win. I don't think
one of them won. Well, Greater Khan won his match.
But yeah, I don't think they had a really good night.
I mean, yeah, they won their tag match on day one, but again, that's not the one you're going to remember.
No,
it's this one.
And technically, not technically, but I'm sure historically, the person that challenges the title, they never officially lost. They usually win it back. First match, they get a chance.
Yeah. I suppose, like, if you want to put the stats up against each other, on the flip side of that coin, it's, again, like, Okada just won it. So do you have him win the title and lose it the very next day? Because if they're going to continue to do this trend at Wrestle Kingdom, they're going to have to do this at some point.
Oh, yeah, it's like...
they're going to have to... They can't just have it so a guy wins it on day one and then retains it on day two every single time, because it becomes too predictable.
Because how many times has had the Rumble winner win the big title match at Mania?
Well, I'd argue now that with the Rumble, actually, more often than not, the Rumble winner tends to lose.
It seems to be that way now.
I'm not saying that, I'm not here to book it. Again, I've got no problem with Okada winning it.
No.
But I just feel that, like, that could have been a good moment for Ospreay. But again, it depends on what they're going to do with this story going down the line. At some point, though, Ospreay does have to take that title back, I feel.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get a fair shout of it. And I do think that the best person for him to take it off of would be Okada, from a storyline aspect. He doesn't look weak though. I feel like I've ragged on it a bit, and genuinely, this is my favourite match over all of both of the nights. Like 100, honestly, easy platinum. But it's not. I'm not ragging on the whole thing. Like, it's just. I mean, it would have been nice, and I'm just trying to envision where it will go, without trying to be the fantasy booker, because at the same time, you've got to take that step back and just enjoy what you're watching for what it is. But there was really good stuff in this. Like, Will Ospreay didn't look weak by any stretch of the imagination. He kicks out of the Rainmaker, which is a huge feat. I don't know how many people have kicked out the Rainmaker. You can have a look if you want to, but
it feels like it's one of those moves that rarely gets kicked out.
I feel like it's a very protected finisher.
Which is a rare thing, really. It's only like One Wing Angel and End of Days, of all things.
Yeah, of all things, yeah. No, it's a very protected finisher, and the fact that Ospreay gets the kick out here, it added something more to the match. And it was weird, because like, it didn't really feel like it was the end of the match at the point where he hits the Rainmaker. Because he hits those ones like, like just the normal kind of, where he doesn't get all of it, I guess you can call it. But this was a proper, like, he spins him round and clocks him, and he kicks out. cool, really cool spot with Ospreay climbing up one of the rigs, one of the, what you'd call it, I suppose, like the metal structure, and the 4 that they have sort of either side there. Right. And he climbs up and hits a moonsault that was picture perfect, like legitimately one of the best moonsaults I've ever seen. It's just move after move. It gets to a point, it's like, it is 100 miles an hour. They trade off, they have their big standoff and trade off of striking and elbows and forearms and everything else. By the end of it, they're exhausted and you believe it. Like, it's a war, it is a fight. Honestly, there's nothing about the actual match that I'd change, like, at all, in terms of, like, you know, I'd say maybe, yeah, if Ospreay wins it. But in terms of like how the match played out, it was perfect. Like, it's one of my favourites, I think.
Right.
I don't know if I would necessarily put it up against Ibushi and Jay White last year.
No, yeah.
Because that was a hell of
an amazing match.
But this really is, like, I think if anything's going to come, like, this was a worthy contender. I just think it maybe needs to sit longer in the, like, in my memory. Right. Have a bit of time from it and then maybe watch them both again. You know, like now with time being a factor and just to see which one would beat which. Not that it matters. Obviously, you've got to rate it on its own merit. But
yeah. So you gave it platinum?
Easily. Yeah, easily.
Meltzer, want to guess?
Oh, you must have given this like over 5 stars.
Yeah, 5.75.
Yeah.
Which is, and it feels weird because it feels like every year Wrestle Kingdom he gives like 2 or 3 5 stars. But just give 1, and obviously with the last match of the New Japan itself, not before.
Yeah, he's always going to. But the thing is, that's a testament to New Japan and how good they are. You know, overall, like I say, it didn't. You got to judge it on its own merits. But Wrestle Kingdom this year wasn't quite as good overall as it was last year for me. No. But Day 2 definitely did help because it was a much better card with much better matches on there, with just more excitement. But I think the biggest takeaway is hopefully, like we say, next year, hopefully we'll have full capacity back in the Tokyo Dome and people can make noise, because that is what we're really, really missing with these shows, more than anything. But yeah, man, I don't know, check it out when you've got the time. And for those who have watched it and have stuck with us for this review, thank you very much. We did get there in the end. It just took a little while because of how long the show is, so it just took a while for us to get to it.
By the time this one has ended, you would have watched about 2 matches and a card.
It'll be Wrestle Kingdom 17.
Yeah, probably.
Now, we've got some more stuff coming up soon. Obviously, we'll be back again this week to cover all the news of wrestling. Obviously, there's a lot of Shane McMahon news at the moment, so we'll go through all of that, won't we? We're also going to be recapping the Rumble and GCW's, the World on GCW pay-per-view from the Hammerstein Ballroom, along with the Hall of Fame that accompanied it the night before, and everything else in between.
Yeah, there's more chance of some big news happening by the end of this.
Yeah, of course there is. But everybody, let us know what you thought of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 16. If you're on YouTube, then leave us a comment below, like the video, do subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Of course, this will also be out as normal across all of the podcasting platforms, so wherever you listen to us, give us a like, give us a follow, whatever the lingo may be. Leave us a 5-star review if you're on Apple or Spotify. And make sure to check us out at 3 Men 1 Fall on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Ash, got anything else you want to say to the fine folks?
Yeah, basically, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. Well, you can if you've got a mic.
Yeah, we don't want you being better than us.
Oh, well, it's not hard, is it?
Well, not really. If you've watched our YouTube video, you'll find out.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're going to do more of those in the future.
Yes. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, hope you're having a great day, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. We will catch you
in the near future.
In the very near future. Talk about some here comes the money. Here we go.
But no dick.
We love dick.
Is that how you're going to end it?
Probs, yeah.
3 men, 1 ball. I did it for the people.